ways to dress them. We're going to be talking about hot dogs. It's a great episode. Stick around for today. It's on the menu here on Happy Camper Radio.
Happy Camper Radio. Happy Camper Radio.
And of course, the Happy Camper Radio Show can be heard all around the world by great listeners just like yourself. You can find us in the iTunes Store and Podbean, MyroGuide, Stitcher, the BlackBerry Podcast Directory, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, and now on Spotify. Tell all your friends to tune in to Happy Camper Radio today. You can get in touch with us here at the Happy Camper Radio Show by calling 404-537-2267. That's 404-537-CAMP. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to www.happycamperradio.com. You'll find all of our social media icons there on the homepage. That's how you connect up with us. Take the studio tour, see what we're doing behind the scenes. A lot of good information is there for you, including every one of our previous episodes. Just look for the podcast episode tab in the upper right-hand corner of the page. Click on any of them, and you can go listen to every show all the way back to 2013. It's been a long time, hasn't it, Daniel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 200 episodes coming up. Wow, where did time go? Well, I know what we got to do right now, Daniel. We've got some shout-outs here. Okay, yes, we have got some wonderful folks, and we want to recognize them at this present time. Starting with Warcombie Camping Park, Brian of California, Amy Elizabeth Frith of Vancouver, British Columbia, Aquahot of Titusville, Florida. They like us on Facebook. To Gary Azusa of California, Pike Outside, and William. They all subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Glad to have you on board, and more importantly, thank you for being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. Want to be on the program? Talk to Daniel and I? Anything in the world of camping is up for grabs. Get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. Well, Daniel, we had to brush the dust off the console here. It's been a little long time for us to be away from the studio, but we had a lot going on here. You have just gotten back from a couple out-of-town trips.
I did.
You went camping not too far from here. Was it down in Noonan, Georgia?
No, it was in Virginia, a little further away from there.
Okay, well, no, that was the Damascus trip.
You're talking about the other one.
The camping trip.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear about
Sorry.
that. I mean, I'm dying to get out on one of these trips with you, but it seems like you had a real interesting few days away, and the weather for once was in your favor.
Oh yeah, it was gorgeous up there. Yeah, we went to Trail Days. It was last weekend. Started on Thursday and ended on Sunday, and it's pretty much the Dragon Con or Comic Con of hiking, and they had a bunch of vendors out there, a bunch of little classes. I took a class on identifying edible plants and what their uses are for vitamins and minerals or for medical purposes, and that was really cool. And what else? We saw a lot of people. Deidre went bicycling because they have this thing called the Virginia Creeper Trail, and it's a little bike path that's really famous around there. And we walked a little bit on the AT and just hung out, and it was a great time.
Was there some hikers on the AT at the present time that actually stopped there for Trail Days?
Oh yeah, people come from wherever they are to Trail Days. They usually make it so they get there around Trail Days or within that area. Like most, I'd say about 40 to 50% of the hikers come there.
Now, you just said something that sparked my curiosity here. You were talking about edibles on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
Do hikers actually eat food that they pick from trees and plants and eat them out there on the trail?
Yeah, definitely.
I've never heard anything like that.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. It's mostly not for calories. It's more for like your vitamins and minerals. And if I just got into it. It's kind of my new thing now. I just got a book the other day, and it's really good medical purposes for to cure. Maybe you're a little stopped up or something, or maybe you're not feeling good, and irritable bowel syndrome. All that kind of medical stuff that you could have on the trail. certain plants will help that. And if you prepare certain things a certain way, I mean, there's a plethora of options of what you can eat, what you can use. It's amazing.
There's no
I'm just
question a lot of the people
getting
who
into
are
it.
hiking on the trail are nice and skinny, unlike myself. I would have
Mhm.
a hard time actually getting started. But yeah, I imagine a lot of folks don't carry a lot of food with them when they're out there hiking. They generally, when they get into town somewhere, is when they really put the feed bag on.
Mhm. Well, I mean, they usually carry a lot of stuff that's high in calories because it's calories in, calories out, really, because you're burning 5 to 6,000 calories a day, and you need as much as you can.
Well, I'm going to eat as much as I can because in a couple weeks from now, no less than a week and a half, I am heading out on a camping trip.
Woohoo!
And I am meeting up with my brother and my cousin. We are going to get together in Mount Airy, North Carolina. Daniel, I talked about this on one of our previous episodes, maybe about a year ago. In fact, it was my brother who actually pointed out what episode it was. I thought I would have to sit down and do some research and start going back and look at it. No, he put his finger right on it. And that was one of those episodes where I was flying solo. I think you were on a trip somewhere. And I really talked up Mount Airy, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that now because my plan is to get up there and do a show right from Mount Airy, North Carolina. We're going to be staying at the Beechnut Family Campground, and I am really excited about meeting those folks there too. And we're probably going to go ahead and do a show, us being behind the console and you being back here on the phone. So we're going to see how that works out. Hopefully it will. But if I was hiking on the trail, if I were planning on a camping trip, I don't care where it is. I'm talking previous trips. I'm talking future trips, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Hot dogs got to be on the menu.
All right.
It is a camping specialty, and I don't think too many people go camping. I'm talking traditional family camping now. I'm not talking the hiking thing like
Mhm.
you're now getting into. And I know
Right.
Gary, and all the rest of the folks who are out there probably would love to have a hot dog while you're out on the trail, but it's just too much for you to carry, too much for you to prepare.
Uh-huh.
But at the campground, when you bring a lot of good food, yes, you got to have some hot dogs.
Right.
Now, I bring a lot because I am feeding a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
when I go camping. And even when I'm camping by myself, which, it happens every now and then, I am always up to sharing my food with fellow campers around me. And I usually carry about 2 or 3 packages of hot dogs, and I try to make sure I have enough hot dog buns, provided the squirrels don't get them, while I'm away somewhere.
Right.
So, yeah, we always have hot dogs on the menu. How do you like your hot dogs prepared? I know you just mentioned you didn't like them in boiled water.
Oh, no. I like them burned. I like them right before you can, like, peel off the skin. Like, not burn, but pretty dark. Pretty, whatever before black is.
All
Like,
right, now,
really brown.
well, Daniel, yeah, the way you're describing it, I think you actually enjoy putting those hot dogs on a stick and cooking them over an open flame.
Yeah, I've
Just
done
to
that
the
before.
just to the point where you describe them, they're
Mhm.
not totally burned, but they are just cooked enough
Mm-hmm.
for your satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
I remember growing up as a kid, and I know my brother's probably going to be listening to this episode on the way down to Mount Airy, but as a kid, we ate hot dogs all the time. And it was a lunchtime specialty, and Mom usually cooked them in a pot of hot water.
Ugh.
A lot of people still do it. Yeah, Daniel, I can't do that because hot dogs will become waterlogged,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just something about the flavor. I just can't get into it,
Mm-hmm.
because I eat hot dogs today all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I cook them a number of ways. Here at home, I will cook them in a frying pan.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't take the cover off the grill and cook them that way, that's the ideal way of cooking them.
Right.
If you're not at a camp and you want to go ahead and you've got a gas grill behind the house and you want to, roast a bunch of hot dogs, I don't cook 1 or 2 of them. I'll cook a whole package.
Right.
If I'm going to bring out the grill and fire it up to 350 degrees, I'm going to cook a whole package of hot dogs, and I can refrigerate them. And I do this quite a bit too, Daniel, is I'll bag those hot dogs up that have already been cooked, and I'll
Mhm.
take some to work with me, and I'll just pop them in a microwave for
There
about
you go.
30 seconds and just taste as good as if I took them off the grill.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have a lot of those luxuries when you're camping. So when you're taking the hot dogs out there to camp, you have a number of different ways to cook them. We just talked about cooking them on a stick. I carry about 5 or 6 of those metal sticks that you can put the hot dogs on, and there's usually two prongs at the very end of them so you can cook 2 hot dogs at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're like me and you've got an open flame and if you got a campfire going all the time, since I do hang around at camp quite a bit, I'm not
Right.
like you young folks who've got to go out and explore and do this and do that. I love sitting around the fire. And if I'm in the mood for something to eat, hot dogs are usually the first thing that come to mind. So that's an ideal way of cooking them. But, you know, if you've got your camping equipment, and I have long said the food that you cook outdoors tastes 10 times better than the food that you prepare on the stove at home. And hot dogs will always taste better when they're cooked outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I've cooked them on the frying pan there. If you carry one of those little hibachi grills, have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen those.
You know, they don't cost a whole lot of money, but, you know, if you have one of those and you're cooking with some charcoal and you add that charcoal flavor to it, and some people like to throw those little hickory chips in there too,
Mhm.
and that adds an extra flavor
Oh,
to the
yeah.
hot dogs as well. What kind of hot dogs do you favor? You like the all beef?
Actually, I like the what are they called? Hebrew Nationals. Those are pretty good.
Okay,
It's
yes.
it's weird that they come in an odd number. I think there's like 7 in a pack, but they're long and they're really good beef. I mean that's really all I get unless someone makes one for me. I'm not really that picky, but if I had to choose, it'd probably be Hebrew Nationals.
Now I'm searching my taste buds. I'm thinking back when I may have had Hebrew hot dogs, and it was probably a long, long time ago. But those are the skinny hot dogs. They're not the
Yeah.
real big, thick ones.
No, but they're bun length. I always like bun length. If it's not Hebrew National, I like whatever bun length. I don't like a lot of bread. I wanna taste everything when I bite into a hot dog. I want to taste all the toppings. I want to taste the bread. I want to taste the hot dog in every single bite. If I can't taste everything in every bite, I don't know. It's just not good.
I have always wondered where the concession stands at the sporting events buy their hot dogs. You know, if you're going to a basketball game or a football game, and fortunately down here in Atlanta, thanks to our owner of the Atlanta Falcons, he had a lot to do with the new stadium being built and bringing down the prices of food.
Mhm.
I remember in the old Georgia Dome, they had a private vendor that was over those, and hot dogs would cost you about $8 a piece. That's ridiculous. It's highway robbery.
Mhm.
But one of the things about the hot dogs that you buy at the sporting events, those are big, thick hot dogs. You want
Mhm.
to talk about having to bite into the meat itself and not even worry about too much about the bun
Mhm.
and the bun size. Yeah, those big old thick hot dogs. I'm still trying to figure out where they buy them at, because your typical hot dogs you buy in the grocery store are not that big.
Hmm. Well, I also, I am a mailman, as you've mentioned before, and I have this thing. Usually on Mondays, there's a chicken place in the gas station that I stop at. So Monday is Chicken Monday, and then on Friday, right before the weekend, I always have hot dogs at the racetrack, and I think they have Nathan's hot dogs, and it's like the only thing that gets me through my Friday is those 2 Nathan's hot dogs, and hopefully they have all the toppings I need. They're pretty good about it, but getting those 2 Nathan hot dogs and eating them on my next street is just the greatest part of my day, and I look forward to every Friday getting that.
That's about 2 hot dogs for $2.50, something like
Something like
that.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah, and they're
I
really
know
good.
very well, because you talk about buying them at a racetrack station. There is a QT station, and maybe some of our listeners out on the West Coast, maybe you don't have any of these gas stations out there, but you probably have gas stations that do offer these kind of deals. And I have left here some mornings or some evenings, rather, to go into work. And I say mornings because that's what typically most folks go to work. For me, I'm a night owl. And when I go in, if I'm hungry, I usually stop at this QT station. I think it's $2.49 for 2 hot dogs. But still, they're not those big, thick hot dogs that I'm talking about. I'm talking the all beef Franks.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kinds I really like. If you have one of those warehouse opportunities, those franchises or whatever you want to call them, where you can buy a membership for a year for
Like
about
Sam's
25.
Club or BJ's or Costco.
Yeah, you can buy them there.
Mhm.
I was at our local Sam's Club here about a week ago, and I usually stock up on pet foods. Talking about pet, we've got our one dog here that is a real big fan of yours in the studio right now. We call her Emily Runt. Right?
I'm waiting
She
for her to
is a-
start barking. I'm
Hey,
getting nervous. She's
I'm
giving me the
standing
evil
here
eye.
petting her head, and she is being so good right now. But when we started the sound check, she was not. She she was not looking at you like she was one of your very best friends. But yeah, she's in the studio with us today. Yeah, Sam's Club. I was browsing around the freezer section up there, and I did see some of those big hot dogs, but those were a little bit too big for me. All right, and I'm sure they're going to be too big for the company I'm going to be cooking for. But I like those all beef franks. I'm not too crazy about the ones with pork and turkey.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever had them, but I mean, I always make sure anytime that I buy hot dogs in the store, wherever I buy them, whether it be for home use or for camping, I've got to buy the all beef, and I'm very, very careful about that. And like I said, this camping trip coming up is going to be a good one. I do, unlike yourself, I do like the big hot dog buns. I'm not talking about the the cheap buns that you can buy now. Some of them you can buy the store brand, and they last probably a couple days before they started getting stale and started getting hard, unlike some of the more expensive ones. But we also have a store up here, not too far up the street from us, and I was browsing through there the other day, and they've got some monstrous hoagie buns. All right. And if you're cooking those big hot dogs with those big hoagie buns, you got plenty of room for the toppings. And Daniel, that's the next section I want to talk about here. Is there's one way, two ways, three ways to prepare hot dogs. However you want to do it, even if you like boiling them in hot water, whatever you do. I mean, there's no right way or wrong way. Whatever suits you, whatever suits your taste buds, whichever is easier.
Boiling's the wrong way.
Just don't eat them raw.
I'm calling it right now. Boiling is the wrong way.
Okay. Well,
I know people that eat them raw. I know people that. I remember my cousin when she was a little kid. She would only eat them right out of the package, out of the refrigerator, and she would cut them up and put them in ketchup, and that's the only way she would eat them, and it grossed me out.
Oh,
Boiling is bad. Don't do it, people.
I can just imagine how that is. Yeah. But you cook the hot dogs, and like I say, I make sure I go out of my way to prepare them as best I possibly can for serving at the picnic table at the camp. But what do you put on your hot dogs? That's the next thing. I know we have had you and Deidre over here for some events, and I've got this wonderful apron that I bought that I actually put myself in preparation for when I'm starting to cook. It's the Ron Swanson.
Yeah,
you
twin.
You inspired that.
More than one person has told you look like him, right, Skip?
Yeah, look at the picture on the wall. I don't see myself there, but yeah, there for some reason Daniel thought a long time ago I looked like the character Ron Swanson in Parks and Recreation. Okay, but I'll take that as a compliment, no matter how you want to put it. But when I'm out at the camp and I'm preparing these hot dogs, once you get them off the grill, you definitely want to serve them piping hot. Don't let them out long. But I have had you and Deidre over here before, and you have particular toppings you want on your hot dog that I typically do not have.
That's
but
true.
I'm going to make sure that I have them next time that you come on over. Next time I invite you over and we're cooking out. You want your relish.
I like dill relish if I have a choice, but I think I just like finely chopped dill pickles. I mean, the relish is kind of gooey, but like if I'm being honest about what I absolutely love more than anything, if you chop up a pickle really small and onions and spicy.
Daniel, my Lord, you just turned my stomach.
Yeah, spicy mustard and mayonnaise.
Onions, no, Daniel. I cannot stand onions.
Love
I
onions.
will not eat onions on anything.
I'll eat it raw.
I want if I always look at the ingredients. If I see something that has onions in it, forget it. It's not going to work for me. But hey, no, that's just me. Some people do love them, and I mean, there are so many different ways to dress a hot dog. All right, I consider people who put just ketchup on a hot dog, I consider them city people. To me, that's a city hot dog.
Okay.
All right, you put ketchup on it and you eat it. That's you're a city person in my book. All right, but there's so many different toppings, and you know what I love putting on my hot dog, Daniel?
What's that?
We have an establishment down here that has been in the Atlanta area for decades, called the Varsity.
Since the 20s.
The 20s. Have you ever had a Varsity hot dog?
Usually I get the burger and the fried, not the, what is it? The onion rings. I know onions.
There you go again.
Love onion rings.
No, I like them old greasy French fries, but that's beside the point. I always make sure I order a hot dog with a string of mustard on it and some chili sauce.
They boil those hot dogs, don't they?
No, I think they cook them on a grill.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never had one.
I know they got a big old grill back there.
Okay.
Yeah, they cook them on a grill. I don't think that would work too well for me because I usually eat about 2 or 3 of those hot dogs anytime I go to the Varsity. But that's how I love my hot dog dressed.
Okay.
Right? You don't put ketchup on a hot dog. You dress a hot dog.
Okay.
So yeah, you could put a string of mustard on there. And I usually buy when I go to the Sam's Club, I buy this 6-pack of chili sauce without the beans. And you can heat them up the same time that you are preparing your hot dogs. And I know folks that eat them just like that too. You know, some people will, the mustard is optional, but, they put that chili sauce on there. And another thing I like on my hot dogs is sauerkraut.
I like sauerkraut by itself.
Yeah, by itself now. It wouldn't work well with the chili.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm saying I like it by itself, not on a hot dog. Because every time I go to the racetrack, I see
all these condiments.
And I see the sauerkraut, and I'm like, ooh, I wish I could put that on the side so I could just eat it raw. Because I love it just by itself. But I like it next to like some Wiener Schnitzel or some kind of German sausage, bratwurst or whatever. I don't really eat those in a bun. Like if it's not a hot dog, I have to eat it by itself. And I only like to dip it in mustard.
And you know what else? You know what else I enjoy on hot dogs, Daniel?
What's
I'm
that?
talking about dressing your hot dog.
Mm-hmm.
You notice how I'm saying it?
Mm-hmm.
Dress your hot dog.
Right.
I love putting coleslaw on it.
Okay.
Okay, I can go with the chili sauce with a coleslaw topping and a bead of mustard. Now, I'm not trying to gross anybody out because I know some people are going to probably be saying, what is wrong with Skip?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's just the way I love my hot dogs prepared. They're cooked, they're right off the grill, and you can dress them just about any way you want.
So I don't know if you know anyone that does this, but I mean, Deidre puts her mustard, her mayonnaise, and her ketchup on the bun under the hot dog.
Wait a minute. Give me that line again. What does she put on her hot dog?
Mustard,
mayonnaise,
and ketchup.
Wow.
Under the hot dog.
This is
she puts it on the bun and then puts the hot dog on top.
Now, Daniel, this is those 3 ingredients I will put on a burger.
Right.
Okay, I've never heard them on a hot dog, but
yeah, she
that's
puts
how she
mayonnaise
likes them.
on it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird.
Okay. Again, hot dogs can be prepared any number of ways. What you got to do is figure out what everybody at your campsite wants. And it's so very important to get your menu prepared ahead of time. I'm already preparing the menu for our trip to Mount Airy here in another week and a half. And we are going to eat good, Daniel. We're going to be up there for 3 days. And I think when I leave there, which will probably be a Wednesday afternoon, and drive back here to the metro Atlanta area, I'm taking my big old trailer along with me, and I'm bringing all my gear in that. When I drive back into the backyard, I think instead of putting all the gear back in the shed, since I'm going to be on vacation, I'm probably going to spend the rest of the week camping in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So when I come back, I'm going to probably roll the grill down the hill and cook some hot dogs and have you and Deidre on over. We can have some camping equipment up. We just might even shoot a good Happy Camper video back there.
All right. So I'm reading this thing, and I wasn't sure about it, but evidently when you're a hot dog connoisseur, and you might get emails about this, and I want to try to prevent that from happening. When you're a very picky person about hot dogs, they do not like you putting ketchup on hot dogs.
Who doesn't like you putting ketchup on hot dogs now?
Hot dog connoisseurs. Like if you go to like New York and like their hot dog places, they look down on you if you put ketchup on hot. It's mustard only. And I was reading that it goes back to the days of baseball, and evidently I guess ketchup attracts bugs and stuff. So they didn't have ketchup back then. And
well, folks out on the trail ought to be used to bugs.
Yeah, well, I remember watching a show on the Food Channel, and yeah, they did not like the whole ketchup on the hot dog. So I thought that was interesting. I couldn't remember. I knew it was one or the other, but yeah, really, really picky hot dog people do not like ketchup on a hot dog.
Well, you can rest assured, Daniel, next Friday, a week from this Friday, before I head up to the mountains, I'm going to be stocking the cooler with all kinds of great food. Hamburgers and hot dogs. because we're going to eat well up there in Mount Airy, North Carolina. We're talking about hot dogs on the menu here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. It's been a great one today. And, Daniel, we could talk about this subject for hours.
Absolutely.
All right? And I don't know about you, but I'm getting an appetite. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Happy, happy, happy Camper Radio.
Daniel, I have a wonderful camping destination that I think everybody would want to consider. You love camping up in Virginia, don't you?
Oh, yeah. It was
All right?
nice.
A lot of mountains up there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of trees. The weather was in your favor.
It was.
Well, anybody that wants to go camping and you want to camp up in the Virginia area, you may want to consider Cave Mountain Lake Family Camp. It's part of the George Washington and Jefferson National Forest. This campground is open from April 1st, 2019, all the way through till October 30th. That's their peak season. And Daniel, the Cave Mountain Family Camp is nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. I have been there before, and it's like a second home to me. Believe me, I just feel so comfortable when I'm in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And they welcome visitors to enjoy their rustic and peaceful getaway. Easy access to the interstate and close proximity to historic Lexington and the National Bridge State Park. That all makes Cave Mountain Lake an ideal camping destination. Cave Mountain Lake offers 28 reservable campsites, and 13 campsites remain on a first-come, first-served basis. The amenities at each campsite include a picnic table, a lantern post, and campfire ring with grill. Flush toilets and water spigots are located throughout the campground. There's a bathhouse and a warm water shower located across the road from campsite number 20. Each campsite can accommodate up to 8 people per site. But if you know you're bringing a lot of folks there, maybe you're having a family reunion, campsite number 4142 is something for you to consider. It's a double campsite with space to accommodate up to 12 people. Cave Mountain Lake covers 7 acres and was built in the late 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps using existing buttresses of natural rock to form a 35-foot dam. The grassy fields extend from the lake to the sandy beach to forested hills that paint a scenic backdrop that I know I would enjoy, and I'm sure you would too. It's a wonderful campground if you enjoy camping up in the mountains. I wouldn't want to be out in the hot sun, but take a look at some of the photographs that are right there on their webpage, and I'm going to have a link to it all week long at happycamperradio.com. And if you haven't already signed up for a recreation.gov account, now would be a great opportunity to do so. Look for that little blue button up in the upper right-hand corner. It says sign up. If you've already signed up, you can log in. It makes your reservation process go a whole lot easier anytime you use Recreation and book one of their sites. I'm hoping to do one again sometime before the summer ends, Daniel. I want to get back to our Schaefer Herd Campground right down there on West Lake.
There you go.
Okay, right there on the Alabama border. Maybe I got a couple months to talk you and Deidre into come joining me down there. Really beautiful if you like the lake and you like the outdoor environment. A lot of these recreation.gov accounts, believe me, they you go on there and reserve a campsite, you can't go wrong. That's one thing I got to say the government really does well, and they spend our money in taking care of these campsites and campgrounds, because every one that I have ever visited in the past, Daniel, they're very well kept. Garbage is emptied routinely. The grass is mowed. The campsites itself, they're just crystal clear and spick and span.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't put it any other way. And it's really reasonable. This particular campground here, Cave Mountain Lake Family Campground, anywhere from $18 to $36 a night. That's not very bad.
That's
no,
good price.
Okay, good price. So consider that if you're wanting to go camping up in the George Washington or Jefferson National Forest area. It's Cave Mountain Lake Campground. It is our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Skip Huber on happycamperradio.com.
And if you have a campground you'd like for us to feature on the program, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. Make sure you include a link to the campground website. Well, Daniel, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. I think I'm going to go pull out the grill and roast some hot dogs. I got an appetite now. I don't know about you. Remember, friends, every pet deserves a loving home, including this little devil we got here in the studio. Do yourself a favor, visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. You can find us online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker. Add us to Circles on Google+, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel's a happy camper. You better believe that. And you hang around with us long enough, we're going to do our best to make a happy camper out of you. We'll be talking to you again real soon. Have a good one, everybody. You're listening to Happy Camper Radio.